could do is shake her head. Didn't I tell you not to mess with that dude, Tim? Girl, Sugar Ray, ain't nobody listening to your advice. Ain't nobody listening to your damn advice, girl. You around here messing with bird, bed bug bites, okay? You don't even know how to pick a man. If you have not already done so, please remember to like, share to Facebook, subscribe, and visit UpTopBeauty.com. Today's looky is our gold tone heart earrings. They're on pre-order right now. If you want them, you better hurry up and go get them. I love them. Ooh, so subtle. Love. Now, they're a little bit more expensive than our regular Annie Jane ear tings, but you won't be disappointed. And if you are not already a part of our book club, please remember to hit the Patreon link below and or the join button here on the YouTube. And for a small monthly fee of $5, you babies, yes, you can be privy to all the shenanigans before the YouTube gets it, if the YouTube gets it. And now, the untold story of Buried Bedbug Bites, Me and Motown by Raynoma Gordy Singleton. Let's go. As swiftly as my life had been plunged into hell, it rebounded all in the span of a plane ride. I hadn't wanted to leave Detroit. When I went to Barry to propose that I go to New York to launch a Motown office there, I was scared to death. I wanted him to beg me to stay. Answer no. Ding. No. Okay? With you away, he can get his mind together and focus on the other bitches that he haven't hunched yet. Okay? Not just Margaret, because trust me, Margaret ain't the, she ain't the Keisha of the world. I was scared to death. I wanted him to beg me to stay, to tell me that he needed me. Instead, he chuckled. Relieved, he said, "That's a terrific idea. That's the old Ray I know." And I guess the old Ray was still with me, because although I hauled my bags worryingly onto a plane in a gloom overcast Detroit, leaving behind the wreckage of my heart, I did a quick change operation in the sky and came out on the other end as Miss Motown. I had made it to the Big Apple, and I was going to make some music. One phone call to George Schiffer, a Motown attorney in New York who had secured the office for me, and I was standing in the lobby of the Brill building on Broadway and 49th, in the hub of what was being called the new Tin Pan Alley, reading the names of all the successful songwriters and publishers on the directory. I had an urge to caress its bronze finish. Lieber and Stoller, Phil Spector. Why does that crazy nigga keep popping up in all our books? Jerry Goffin and Carole King. Burt Bacharach and Hal Davis. Songwriters, home base for groups like the Drifters, the Coasters, and the H0tel. "George, it's perfect," I sang out. A rock and roll kind of guy stuck his head in the door saying, "Welcome to New York." I blinked. It was Bobby Darin, whose office was across the hall. To the left of us, Elvis Presley music. Next, another gentleman who came to see me was Lloyd Price, the R&B great from New Orleans, of Lordy Miss Claudie personality and Stagger Lee fame. Lloyd strolled up to my desk with his arms filled with candy and ice cream. After batting around some musical ideas, he said, "It would be an honor to escort a lady such as yourself to dinner." Sounded like a date to me. "Well, sure," I began. Fine, he interrupted. My chauffeur will pick you up at 9 this evening. Life certainly is getting better. Let me say this, ladies. Heartbreak is always a hard thing. You know, we feel betrayed. We feel hurt. We feel like the person that we trusted the most shizzed on us. But once you get past that, you know, once you grow up in your mind and realize that maybe you didn't really love this guy in the first place, or maybe it's not that serious, and you understand that the hurt is basically about the competition, not about the fact that you love him. The hurt more so is about that he chose her over me. So now it becomes a competition so that we have to win. We can't let no other bitch just take our man. We can't do that. From videos back, she begged him for the pickle. He's in his heart already set up like she's pressed. Okay? So with that being said, to be in a place where you have a beautiful man that actually wants to woo you and not in secret, it's something that is refreshing, you know? Because when she was cheating with those other guys like Sonny, although Sonny was a beautiful man, they weren't doing anything but going straight to the hotel, fucking, and going home. There was nothing, you know, spectacular about that relationship except for the passion, okay? So now Sugar Ray is in a place now where she is experiencing true wooing. Ray, my indispensable receptionist, Joan Miller, buzzed me in my office. Your brother's here. Her whisper came through the intercom. I think I'm in love. I raced out of the reception area. Mike! You know, Mike is her, one of the 6 older kids that was not with her mother and her father. You know, he was the one that I think was part Philippine. She goes to her brother, you know, Mike, I'm glad you're here, right? She thinking to herself, now let's do this, let's do that. I need you here to do this, to do that, blah, blah, blah. Mike is like, slow down, sis, slow down. First of all, let me tell you, I am proud of you, okay? Know this, we all knew that Barry was shizzing on you, and we respect you for leaving him, coming out here to New York, getting yourself together, and getting a fresh new start. Okay, brother, now let's get to work. Together, we soon assembled a writing staff chock full of promise. George Carr, an aggressive, fast-talking guy, had a strong portfolio of songs, and Sidney Barnes was a real find. Handsome, refined, and shrewd. He was also one of the most versatile singers I'd ever encountered. His voice ranged from the lowest bass to the highest tenor, and he could imitate just about anyone's style. On demos, he could sound exactly like Smokey or Marvin Gaye or any one of the Temptations. Barry Bedbug Bites was impressed when he met George and Sidney, and he would eventually steal them back to Detroit, where they would stay with Motown for many successful years.
The purpose of Joe Bet New York was to find new material for the established Motown artists. To that end, I cultivated a nurturing and stimulating environment in which the writers could take all their New York creativity and let it blossom in a down-home Detroit style. Ray, Joan buzzed. Mr. Gordy is on the phone. It was our weekly conference, strictly business, okay?
She is still in that place. We always have that one person that when they call, our heart beats, our heart patters. Now, it don't mean that we want to go back and jump on his pickle or her face, you know. But it just means that it's just those butterflies that are in our stomach, you know. She said every time she was on the phone with him, she stayed strong. She was not going to let his sexual innuendos back into her heart and put her back in that place. Good job, Sugar Ray. The best thing that you can do with a dirty dick is let go. Move on, get successful, and enjoy progress. That is the best revenge for them dirty dicks, okay? Because they don't understand you sleeping with their best friend, because as soon as you do that, you classify the hoe now. Another old family member had come to New York to stay for a bit. It was my sister, Alice. Alice was full of enthusiasm. Now, when George Clinton comes in, let me know, I told her. That guy has a great commercial potential. He's also clean cut, soft-spoken, with a beautiful smile. tailored pinstripe suits, and a briefcase. Just buzz me when he shows up. I was betting that George was going to be our star writer, for he kept churning out smooth mainstream love songs. He was also producing and putting groups together as Barry once had done. And I was right that a great career lay in store for him, but dead wrong about how he would ultimately hit. Years later, I went to see him in one of his Parliament Funkadelic groups, and he walked on stage attired in only a diaper with the back cut out of it. "Ray, I've changed," he said. "After an all-in-your-face funk spectacle?" "Yeah, I guess so," I said. George Clinton wore the pamper too. It can't be two people to wear pampers. They got only one pamper in the world for one Parliament Funkadelic. Come on, y'all.
It was Gary Shitter. It was Gary Shitter.
In addition to gathering up songwriters and producers, I also stumbled over some smashing performers in New York. Tim Wilson of the Serenades, a dude that looked like Nat King Cole and sounded like Anthony Garding. Her sister, Alice, okay? Alice told Sugar Ray, I want him. That Tim dude, man, I'm trying to get him. Alice was like, no, girl, not him. Not him. He too. Okay, leave it alone. Alice went on and messed with the dude, Tim, behind her back. And eventually, they got married. All she could do was shake her head. Didn't I tell you not to mess with that dude, Tim? Girl, Sugar Ray, ain't nobody listening to your advice. Ain't nobody listening to your damn advice, girl. You around here messing with Barry, bed bug bites, okay? You don't even know how to pick a man. We told y'all every single time that I went after someone, male or female, it wasn't good. It wasn't good. Number one, because they probably didn't want my ass in the first place. And number two, you know, because they don't want you in the first place, they really don't appreciate you. You know how much work you got to put in? Remember when Sugar Ray was begging Barry to go in for the ding dong? Girl, that was a sign right there. Life was a never-ending series of twists and turns. I thought as I sat quietly with Smokey in a darkening hotel room. So y'all want to know why I'm reading so much and not improvising? It's because these last couple of videos were so juicy that I don't want to get nothing wrong, okay? Especially this part right here. Life was a never-ending series of twists and turns, I thought, as I sat quietly with Smokey in the darkening hotel. I had been in New York less than a month when he called me. He was in town and wanted to get together at his hotel. Even as I rode up in the elevator, I felt a clamp on my emotions. How could I divorce Smokey from the trouble between Barry and me? He and Barry were more of a team than Barry and Margaret were. I almost turned away at his hotel room door, but the door had opened and the clamp inside me released. Smoke! He embraced me with love. At every crossing of the road, almost, Smokey had been a witness, so there was no need to ask questions or pass judgments. We were just quiet with each other for a good stretch and then began to talk. The afternoon wore into evening, the room darkening, and neither of us made any effort to turn on the light. It was late when Smokey took my hand and broached the subject that we'd been avoiding. That day you left, Barry cried. He couldn't stand to see you go, but he didn't know how to get you back. He didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to say. Barry loves you, Smokey said, honest. You're the only woman he's ever loved. Pride is going to get you ninjas left. There is no room for pride in love. If you love somebody, you tell them, I love you. You try. If the mother is still rejecting you, then you keep moving. the way that Sugar Ray did, okay? Despite the fact that Smokey is here, y'all in a hotel by yourself, I thought that Smokey was going to knock you down, but all Smokey want to do is be Barry Gordy's cheerleader. There were more visits and more conversations, and Smokey campaigned for me to come back to Detroit. Motown was incredibly hot. Don't be a fool, he said. I'm loyal and faithful to Barry, but I'm not a fool. There's money in Detroit, and this money is yours. Come and get it. Smokey, I haven't left Motown. This is Motown too. I was definitely starting over in the boyfriend department. I was dating Lloyd Price and various other fellows in his circle and was having a fine old time. Been there, done that. I told you I'm from Uptown. It ain't my fault, okay, that I'm attracted to an Uptown dude. It ain't my fault that all the dudes from Uptown know each other. I mean, what I'm supposed to do? Run over to the South Side and hunt one of them niggas over there on Southeast? In the Bird Farms or the Anacostia or the Congress Heights? It's not my fault. Okay, so sometimes they do know each other. I mean, they don't be best friends, but they know of each other. They bump into each other. They may all go to the same school. Listen, I came here to protect you. A guy named Ed Singleton said to me, oh, please, I thought. He was a songwriter and a manager who had heard tell of the Motown lady and had decided to stop in and pay his respects. This interesting-looking, compassionate fellow had decided I needed someone to be my knight in shining armor. As he explained to me, his concern wasn't only for my virtue. The bottom line for these cats was to get next to Barry Gordy's money. Part of what he was saying made sense. The New York music industry was much more cutthroat than what I known in Detroit. A few months later, I was pestering this man to death to get him into the sack. That was certainly a turn of events that I hadn't seen coming. Sugar Ray, why are you always begging men for dick? This man was a great listener, emotional, sympathetic, a strong shoulder to cry on, and I gave him high marks for that. For a couple of months, he spent the night on the couch as I slept in my bedroom, and by day we were the dearest of companions and confidants. He got a very high score on the friendship chart. Then there was his business acumen. From his office on Broadway, he managed the careers of various artists, including Tony Orlando and Flip Wilson. His managing style was compassionate, personal, and patient. When Ed turned to me one day early in our friendship and said, you should really have your boys here, he won a place in my heart. Cliff, at first meeting, strode right up to Ed. Say, Ed, where's all the action? Soon, he was up to his old tricks again, impersonating the elevator operator, turning off the power in the building, dangling Carrie out of the 14th floor window. The usual. She's very cavalier about her son dangling her youngest son out the window, okay? That's not tricks, that's ADD. Okay, or some kind of something. You need to put that Nick Russ on drugs. Don't just ignore that and be like, oh, he's so mischievous. Oh, he's so precocious. No, girl. No, that's not old tricks. Why don't women recognize dumb like that as a problem? That's a problem. If he's doing that at 8, imagine what he's going to do at 18. Ed's manner with the boys reminded me of my father with those 6 kids of mamas. He treated Cliff and Curry as his own. Finally, I started nagging him to have sex with me. Ed surprised me. If I have sex with you, I want you to understand that you have to marry me. She begging for dick again? Damn, Sugar Ray. What? I said. He repeated himself. Wait a minute. I exclaimed. Just because I have sex with you, I don't have to get married. I had never heard such a logic coming from a man. Come to think of it, I'd rarely heard the logic coming from a woman.
That night, we went to the Lincoln Plaza Hotel in Manhattan and booked a room with stars on the ceiling and rhinestones and glitter everywhere. There were mirrors over the bed and a heart-shaped tub. I finally had my way. And in the dawn hours that followed after we had fully exhausted ourselves, I realized that I was going to end up married.
That sounds like a good night. Okay, that sounded like he really knocked her ass down. What you said about Berry Gordy? Oh, it was playful. Oh, it was clumsy. It was fun. That don't sound like nothing good. That don't sound like, he gave you what you came there for. Okay, it sounded like meh. At the office one morning, I turned around and saw Barry Bed Bug Bites gliding through the entrance doors. How's my New York office? It was his third or fourth visit. He loved popping in unannounced. I knew he was still the man I loved, but he represented Margaret and the pain of the previous year. So I clung to the warmth of Ed Singleton. Good for you.
Heat wave was all over the streets of New York. Hearing the familiar beat made me intensely homesick, and I dreamed of being back in the studio with the guys. When I saw them in Detroit, they all did their best to make me feel at home. Everyone seemed genuinely happy to see me, but there was so much left unsaid, as if the history that had caused me to run had been erased.
November 1963. For those of us who lived through it, there will always be that memory of where we were when it happened. I was on my way up to the office in the Brill building, which stood at the edge of Times Square. And it was as though the shot in Dallas rang out through the city streets of New York. The news was blasting everywhere, from stores and car radios and offices. People were pushing and shoving to get to the newsstands. Faces were wet with tears. The city was shrouded in despair. And in collective shock, President Kennedy had been assassinated. Later, Barry called that night when I was home, shortly before Ed was due back. You won't believe it, Barry said. Marvin Gaye and I had a fist fight. Don't nobody care about you and Marvin Gaye fighting. President Kennedy just was assassinated, you damn fool. Now, if you have not already done so, please remember to like, share to Facebook, subscribe, and visit H0telbeauty.com. Now remember this, the same people that you meet on the way up will always be the same people that you meet on the way down. My naysayers, my patron loves. You babies, have a good one.